Ferus grasped her hands and gave them a tight squeeze. It was as much of a goodbye as he could allow himself. If she knew what he was about to do and how it would most likely end, she would never let him go. Leia boarded the freighter and Ferus ran into the base, back the way they had come, back toward Vader. He didn't have far to run. As he rounded one corner and then another, the stench of evil grew overwhelming, the thick air full of darkness. And then, just beyond the second corner, there he was, Darth Vader, standing in the middle of the hall, waiting, knowing exactly what was coming and who. Ferus froze at the opposite end of the corridor. He couldn't force his legs to carry him any closer.
"I had hoped you were dead,"
Darth Vader said in a low rumble. "Sorry to disappoint you." Rage swelled within Ferus. He hadn't come face to face with Vader since that day so many years ago, when the Sith had left him for dead, when Ferus had failed to avenge Roan's death and left Vader alive to kill so many more. Because Ferus failed, Vader lived to strike down Obi-Wan, to destroy nearly everything and everyone he touched. Standing before him, Ferus understood the true nature of hate. He had told himself that he only wanted to stall Vader, to protect Leia. But that wasn't the whole truth. He wanted another chance at killing the Dark Lord, to stand over his body and watch him die.
"I could kill you where you stand,"
Vader said.
"I could kill you with a thought."
"It would probably be easier," Ferus replied lightly. He knew he had to leave behind his hatred if he was going to survive this encounter. He couldn't beat Vader by matching him darkness for darkness. His rage would only cloud his connection to the Force. He needed to stay clear. "And you were always one to take the easy way out, Anakin."
"Anakin is dead,"
Vader said. "So you've told me before. You killed him, just like you killed Obi-Wan and Padme?" He watched carefully, hoping for some kind of flinch, some sign, something to indicate that name still had the same impact. If Anakin was really dead and gone, then Ferus had no chance left at all. Perhaps none of them did. Erase all the reminders of who you used to be. Isn't that the plan? Any reminders of what you've done and how much it hurts?
"You know nothing about pain,"
Vader said. Then he raised his lightsaber, the red beam glowing in the darkness.
"But it will be my pleasure to teach you."
Darth Vader had come for Luke Skywalker. He had come to find the boy who had caused so much trouble, brought so much destruction, and somehow, inexplicably, bore Anakin's name. But he had stayed even when it became clear that Luke was gone, along with everyone else. He sensed that there was someone else hiding in the bowels of this station. Someone familiar. A presence that evoked strange and unsettling images of the past, of things he hadn't thought about for many years. Images of Padme, her scent, the soft melody of her voice, the myriad details he'd spent 2 decades trying to forget. It meant that there was someone on this station connected to his past, and that someone needed to die. As he swept through the halls, he'd almost not been afraid, certainly. Fear was beneath him now. It was useful only as a weapon by which to destroy his enemies. No, he'd been watchful, wondering who he might find lurking around the next corner. Discovering Ferus had been a relief. This was no unknown variable from the past. Ferus was known, easily dealt with. A loose end he should have tied up long before. Ferus had no power over him. His words were empty. He was nothing but a feeble old man babbling about a dead past, and yet the sight of him, and the sound of the name, Padme, hearing it on his lips was enraging. Ferus should be dead, as all the Jedi should be dead. It was infuriating that he was still crawling around like a Bossack roach. No longer. Vader stoked the rage, let it swell within him. His rage was his power, something the pathetic Jedi had never understood. His rage was bottomless, his power limitless. Ferus was nothing in the face of that. Less than nothing. A roach to be squashed underfoot. Vader crossed the distance between them before the old man even had time to draw his weapon. He could kill him with a single blow, but there was no hurry. And Vader had to admit, he was curious. Ferus had become such a decrepit human specimen, paunchy and sad, soft. It would be interesting to let him believe he could put up a fight. Vader swung his blade down. Ferus met it solidly. There was a dull hum as the red and blue blades clashed.
Your technique has become lazy,
Vader observed. He parried a blow almost as an afterthought. Ferus didn't reply. He was breathing heavily. Gasping with each lunge and thrust, Vader deflected every strike with little more than the flick of a wrist. "And you've gotten complacent," Ferus said, slashing diagonally. Vader retreated a step. The lightsaber hummed through empty air. "You think no one can match you, right? Same old Anakin."
"Anakin is dead!"
Vader roared. He struck with his full power. Time to end this game. But Ferus somehow evaded the blow, and then danced away from the next one, and the next. His blue blade whirled and spiraled through the air, matching Vader strike for strike, blow for blow. It was that name. That was the only explanation. Even the sound of it had thrown him off balance. This was unacceptable.
"You move well for a fat old man,"
Vader granted. He was more powerful by far, but the plastoid armor made for awkward maneuvering, and he never reclaimed the physical grace he had as Anakin Skywalker. Vader shook off the thought, disgusted with himself. Anakin had nothing he wanted. Nothing! He let the disgust grow. This was what he needed. Not grace, not that foul Jedi concentration. Anger, darkness, control. Ferus leapt through the air, driving the lightsaber down in a chopping motion as he arced toward the ground. The blade came within centimeters of Vader's faceplate. Sweat was pouring down Ferris's face with the effort of continuing the fight, and yet still he lived. "No older than you, Anakin," he gasped. And it was true. They'd once been the same age. So young, so stupid, so easily manipulated by their Jedi masters. But now Vader was master of all, and Ferus was this weak, stupid thing. Is this what Anakin would have grown into had he stayed in that frail human body? This sagging bag of loose flesh? Vader was furious with himself for entertaining the thought. It didn't matter what Anakin would have become. Anakin was nothing. He didn't exist. He had never existed.
"There is no Anakin,"
Vader said. "And yet here he is in front of me," Ferus countered. "The same cocky, deceitful, defiant, scared little boy you always were. You killed Obi-Wan because he saw the fear behind the mask. You killed Padme because she saw the monster." Rage blotted out Vader's vision, turning the world to darkness. Everything disappeared but Ferris's disgusting knowing smile. Ferus was the one who'd never changed. He was still the same insufferable child he'd always been. Vader should have done the galaxy a favor and snuffed him out the Academy. Better late than never. Ferus advanced with a dizzying series of strikes and parries. "You can kill me if you want, but you will never kill Anakin Skywalker. I suspect someday he'll kill you."
"Someday, perhaps."
Vader flicked a gloved hand and Ferris's lightsaber threw across the hall.
"But unfortunately for you, that day is not today."
He plunged the blade through Ferris's heart. and watched with pleasure as Anakin's long-lasting enemy dropped to the ground, the life draining from his eyes. This pathetic old man knew nothing, he told himself. Anakin was dead and gone forever, and now there was no one who could bring him